What is going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be previewing the 2025 college football schedule for the Oregon Ducks. I'm going to go through every single game on their schedule next season and predict their record. And before we get into predicting their schedule, let's just talk about this team a bit. And I say this is a very pivotal year for Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks because they lost a ton of talent. They lost a lot of veterans on the team. And heading into next season, it will probably be Dan Lanning's most interesting and maybe hardest season there. I think it could be a challenge for that Oregon team, but I don't think people realize how talented this team is. They may not have the same veterans that they have had the last two seasons with guys like Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, and many more. But I do believe this is the biggest, fastest, and strongest Oregon team we have seen in a long time. They got guys like Dak Ryan Moore, true freshman, he could go off. Kenyon Sadiq is one of the most talented tight ends in the nation. Dante Moore is a former five-star. Mekhi Hughes is very talented as well. They got a lot of talented receivers, and Evan Stewart should be a baller. Defensively, they have playmakers like Mateo Yu, Devin Jackson, who is super fast. They got a bunch of five stars coming up. Bryce Betcher is the leader of that defense who plays multiple sports. Bear Alexander is a transfer and a former five-star who will probably start on the defensive line. I mean, when you look at the talent and the speed and the strength that this team has, it is amazing. I do believe this Oregon team is very talented despite them having to replace a lot of talent. And I think we're going to see some guys step up. And I wouldn't be surprised if this team had another undefeated season because they don't have this super brutal schedule. I do think a lot of it is going to come down to the quarterback position with Dante Moore. But believe it or not, I think Dante Moore is going to be just fine. Oregon has had great quarterbacks over the last 5 years. And Dante Moore is a former five-star. He learned behind Dylan Gabriel as well. And another thing that really makes me like this Oregon team is the fact that they're the only team in college football that has had their coordinators and head coach over the last 3 years. None of them have went anywhere. They have the same coordinators and the same head coach. And this is a great culture with a great coaching staff. So there's no reason for me to believe that this Oregon team will take a big step down. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a step forward. And I do expect them to be in the national title contention once again. But without further ado, let's get into predicting their schedule. And they actually opened the season with an interesting game against an FCS team in Montana State, one of the best FCS teams heading into next season. This is actually a Montana State team that lost in the FCS National Championship by a field goal last season. And oddly enough, Oregon struggled with Idaho last season, an FCS team. So if Oregon comes out sloppy to start the season, they will definitely struggle because Montana State is a very good FCS team. But a lot of things would have to go wrong for Oregon to lose this game. And there's nothing that reasons with me picking Oregon to lose this game. Give me Oregon to blow out Montana State and move to 1-0. Oregon will then play Oklahoma State at home. If this was an Oklahoma State team of the past years, maybe they could challenge Oregon. But on the road against the top team in the country is going to be a tough game for Oklahoma State, especially when Oklahoma State has a ton of questions. They were very bad last season and they lost all of their top playmakers. They lost their star quarterback, they lost their star running back, they lost all of their top receivers. Mike Gundy is a great head coach. I wouldn't be surprised to see them bounce back, but I don't even know who the quarterback is going to be. They have multiple freshmen who could step up. Garrett Rangel is a junior who could possibly step up. But they have no standout quarterback, and I don't see a quarterback showing up to play this early in the season against a top defense in the country. So again, I think Oregon will win this game no problem. I have them winning it and moving to 2-0. Oregon will then go on the road to play at Northwestern. If this was a late season game, maybe this could be a potential trap game. But this is an early season game, and Oregon will be turning up the tempo at this point. They'll be playing good football, and I think Dante Moore will be in his comfort zone. And Northwestern just does not have the talent to match up with this team. Even if Oregon plays their average game, I think they could still beat this Northwestern team pretty easily, even on the road. Give me Oregon to win this game and move to 3-0. And then they get Oregon State at home, another easy non-conference game. Oregon State did challenge Oregon a bit when they had Jonathan Smith at head coach, but this just is not the same Oregon State team. I mean, they missed a bowl game last season and they played weak competition. I do think they will be much better next season, maybe at the level of Washington State last season, because they got a very good pickup in Malik Murphy at quarterback. They return Anthony Hankerson at running back. They have some good receivers returning, including Trent Walker, a very good receiver. They added some good pieces through the portal, so I do think they'll be alright. But again, this is just a game where Oregon should be able to take control of the game. They have it at home. I'm going to easily take Oregon in this game to win it and move to 4-0. And oh boy, we got a showdown. Oregon will go on the road to play Penn State, a rematch from last season's Big Ten championship game. And these are two teams that I think are going to be faster, stronger, and more talented next season. And especially Penn State, if you look at the receivers they brought in, this is a dangerous offense. Not a lot of people are talking about the additions this team made at wide receiver. They had 1,000 plus yard receiver in Devontae Ross from the group of five. They had a top receiver in Kyron Hudson from USC who is a playmaker. And the biggest addition is one of the best wide receivers from the ACC last season, and Trevor Penna. He had just under 1,000 receiving yards for Syracuse. And they have a former five-star number one tight end, Luke Reynolds, stepping up. He's a guy that made some plays last season, and I think he is going to be very good. Despite them losing the production of an all-star tight end, I think this team is going to be even better, especially on offense. They have Drew Aller back at quarterback. They have both their backs back. They have all five starting offensive linemen back. They have good leaders on defense back and decent production, and they had a top defensive coordinator in the nation from Ohio State and Jim Knowles. Look, I don't care what anybody says about the past of this Penn State team with James Franklin losing big games. This is an extremely talented roster, and they have no excuses next season. I think them having that game at home makes this an even bigger chance for Penn State, and I think they get the win. I think they get a massive win and get their revenge. So I do have Oregon dropping this game and moving to 4-1. Oregon will then have a bye week and time to recoup, and then they play a pretty solid Indiana team at home. This could be a potential upset game, but Indiana has themselves in a tough position in this game. Playing a top team in the country coming off of a loss and a bye week, they have to play them on the road as well. And I don't think Indiana is going to match up that well with Oregon at the line of scrimmage. We saw how Indiana did at the line of scrimmage against Ohio State, Michigan, and Notre Dame last season. They couldn't really hold up. They have some talented playmakers like Elijah Surratt. They add Jonathan Brady from Cal, who has over 1,000 career yards. They have some good weapons. I think they'll be good again, but they have a tougher schedule. I'm expecting them to take a step back. And I think this is going to be a game that Oregon shows their dominance, probably wins it by 20 plus, to be honest. Coming off of a bye week and a tough loss, they have it at home. I trust Oregon to bounce back and win this game. Dan Lanning's a great head coach, so I have them moving to 5-1. Oregon playing at Rutgers the following week could also be tricky. They have to travel across the country. This could be a trap game, but I do think they'll be well rested enough for this game. And Rutgers is not this super talented team. It's hard to see a world where Oregon loses this game, even on the road traveling across the country. So again, I trust Dan Lanning. He's a great head coach. He does not slip up in games like this that often. Give me Oregon's strength, speed, and talent to prevail over Rutgers on the road. I have them moving to 6-1. Oregon will then get Wisconsin back at home, and I don't even know what to say about this Wisconsin team anymore. Luke Fickell has been an absolute disappointment at head coach. They have the potential to get back on the right track, but looking at their roster, I don't think they have the great roster. I think their ceiling is around 7 to 8 wins. But that saying, if they can get through a tough schedule. They do add a solid quarterback from Maryland and Billy Edwards Jr. They add Jaden Ballard at wide receiver. He's talented, and Vinny Anthony is back at wide receiver as well. They add some solid transfers, so we'll see how they do. But there's other teams in the Big Ten that I just think are better than Wisconsin. Wisconsin should be solid defensively with guys like Parker Peterson and Corey Walker on the front, but they're not as good as Oregon, not nearly as good. Oregon has this game at home. I have them winning it and moving to 7-1. Following their next bye week, they will go on the road to play Iowa. And again, I think Oregon's talent just outmatches this Iowa team. Some of these Big Ten teams just do not have great talent, and I'm actually expecting this Iowa team to take a step back. I know they picked up a quarterback people are high on in Mark Gronowski. This is a guy that has over 12,000 career passing yards, but he also has a completion percentage in the 50s, which is not that good at all. And he did that at an FCS level. What do you think he's going to do against a top defense in the Big Ten? Probably not that much, and they lose their top running back in Caleb Johnson, so that really takes away their chances they have on offense. And the defense showed some vulnerability last season. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep winning a lot of football games. I'm expecting a step back. I think Oregon can handle this game pretty well on the road off of a bye week. I have them moving to 8-1. Oregon will then get Minnesota at home. Now, this is a Minnesota team that maybe has Oregon on upset alert. Probably not. I do think Minnesota will be an average, above average team. They return a top running back in Darius Taylor. Drake Lindsey is a quarterback who could have a breakout season. He's only a freshman redshirt. The receiving room is a bit of a question mark, but this is a defense that returns a lot of production. I think they'll have a top 10, top 5 defense in the Big Ten. This should be a very solid defense. And they add a leader like Jeff Robertson in the linebacker room. I am high on this Minnesota defense, but I don't think they have the offensive talent to keep up with Oregon. Oregon has this game at home as well. If this was on the road, maybe this could be an upset. But like I said, I trust Dan Lanning. This is just a super talented Oregon team. I have them winning it and moving to 9-1. Oregon will then get USC at home, and if there was a game that they slip up in late in the season, I think this could be the game. USC has given Oregon trouble in the past, and I do think USC will be one of the more talented teams that Oregon plays next season. And I say this game could be tricky because Oregon does struggle with those late season November games. USC returns two very good playmakers in Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, and they add one of Boise State's top receivers as well. Eli Sanders is a 1,000-yard back they picked up from New Mexico, and Waymon Jordan is a good back as well. Jada Mayava should step up at quarterback. But how does the defense develop? That is a good question. Jakeem Stewart is a highly coveted freshman, though. He could definitely make an impact. And they added some more great additions this spring through the portal. They added a guy in Tamir Robinson who was supposed to be a leader for that Penn State defense and step up and play a huge role as a starter. And they add a former highly coveted recruit in Kennedy Urlacher, the son of the legendary Brian Urlacher. He's a guy that made some good plays for Notre Dame last season, but he got lost in a very deep safety room. So yeah, I think Lincoln Riley is trying to put together a roster. They still have questions, but Lincoln Riley has had great seasons before. He is a good head coach, whether people like to admit it or not. He has led multiple teams to double-digit win seasons, and he always has good offensive talent. We'll see what they can do next season. I could see this being a close game for Oregon, especially late in the season. But they do have it at home. I trust Oregon. I'm going to take them to win this game and move to 10-1. And I also think ending your season with a game at Washington, your rival, could be tricky. Washington's one of the tougher places to play in the Big Ten. And Washington is a team that I would not be surprised if they took a step forward, won 8 to 9 football games. Damon Williams has the potential to be a top quarterback in the Big Ten. They return Jonah Coleman and their top wide receiver from last season. They add two elite leaders from that Arizona defense, Jacob Manu and also Takario Davis, two very good leaders. So Jedd Fisch has added some of his top players from that Arizona team. But I do think year 2 for Jedd Fisch has potential. He's a good head coach and he helped turn around Arizona and he has a good staff around him. Despite them losing 10 of their top 12 tacklers, I could see this defense being really good again, especially with guys like Jacob Manu and Takario Davis. But this is not the same Washington team that beat Oregon 2 years in a row. Oregon destroyed them last year. I think they'll beat them again. Maybe not as bad as they did last season. Maybe it's like a 2-possession game. But regardless, give me Oregon to win this game pretty comfortably. And I have them finishing the season 11-1. But anyways, that is going to do it for my 2025 schedule prediction for the Oregon Ducks. I think this is an 11-1 or 12-0 team. I don't see them dropping 2 games. If they manage to lose to Penn State, they will bounce back and probably win out. This is just a way too talented team. I'm too high on them. They don't have a super tough schedule. The only elite team they play is Penn State, and they do have some stuff to prove as well. But I was bold enough to pick Penn State to win the game, and I have Oregon at 11-1, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went 12-0. I think this is going to be a very interesting Oregon team. But anyways, you guys leave your prediction on Oregon football down in the comments below. And let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing and also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.